Welcome, boys and girls. Is everybody ready? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Hello, my name is Peach Fuzz. And I might look like I want to eat you up. Rawr. Well, I'm as friendly as a rabbit. And I make a very good friend.
All right.
And
I am
Peach Fuzz. I am here. Okay, sorry. All right.
I rewatched this today, both of these today, and it sounds like you did too.
Heck yeah. What an absolute ghoulish treat these movies are. They're just the best. They're really darn good.
Really good.
It's and it's like what's coming. You know what's coming.
Especially in the second movie.
Yeah, but it's just man.
Although the way it comes at you in that second movie is not what you expect.
Yeah. So we're gonna get.
Is it what you expect? I don't know. That movie destroys expectations.
I should say right now, we're going to get into spoiler territory because we can't talk about these movies without diving deep into the depths of spoiler territory. So, spoiler alert, everybody! If you haven't seen them, pause this right now. Go over to Netflix, watch both of them. Yeah, come back here.
Maybe 3 hours to watch 2 movies.
You got the time. You got the time for Los Niños de Spoopy. So thank you. So let's get into it. Creep. Mark Duplass is starring, co-writing. Our other main character is the co-writer and director. His name is escaping me, but I think his character's name is he Aaron?
He's Aaron.
He's Aaron, and
no, I thought Duplass was Aaron, or was at least he said he was Aaron.
Yeah. Oh God,
I can't recall for sure because there's a lot of
he's changing his name around all the fucking time, and it's bizarre. Although in Creep, he makes a callback to this one by using this guy's name at the beginning.
I think that's what I'm thinking. I think it is Aaron.
Yeah, and I was like, you dirty dog.
Yeah, he's using Aaron's name in the second movie.
Okay, all right. So here we go.
It is because it's on the locket too.
Yeah. So we meet our protagonist, Aaron. He's like a videographer of sorts, right?
Yeah.
And he's answered this ad to help this guy document his kind of dying days, almost in a way. Not really that, but he's doing a my life, as he states in the movie. He's like, I'm doing a my life situation, which is he's trying to record all these special moments for his baby to be, because this guy is dying of cancer, and he doesn't have long for this world, and he really needs to have these father-son moments happen, and he's going to act them out. He's going to go through it. It's going to be tender, beautiful, loving, a little sad, but we're all going to grow from it at the end.
I really want you here for it, Aaron.
Yeah. So we go, Aaron drives up to this, is it out of the way? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And also the way to get up to it.
Second movie, they mention how out of the way it is.
Yeah. And to get up to this place is almost a chore in itself. And when he gets there, no one's answering the door. Nothing's going. It's what's going on here. And do we get? I refresh me, because I watched it this morning. Do we get camera footage from our creep? No, it's all Aaron. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
It's all Aaron until it's shown later.
Yeah.
Or no, it's not shown. Yes, it is shown. It is shown, but not in the way you think it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, this one's got some tricksies to it.
And how does he introduce? He pops out from somewhere, right? Does he do the thing first?
No, he just jumps out and scares the piss out of him.
Yeah, and okay, that was just an honest. It was just an honest thing. He's just trying to break the ice. Maybe he's just an awkward guy. Okay. And then the next big thing I can think of is he disrobes for the bath.
Yeah.
So he goes and he introduces himself and he's laying out the whole plan and everything like that. And then just like these guys grew up together and they have no boundaries whatsoever, just drops all his clothing.
Even though it's a guy he literally just met.
Minutes before. Not even like a full half hour has gone by. And this guy, stark naked. And one of the creepiest fucking scenes for me in movie history unveils, where he's miming bathing a child, and like laying the warm washcloth down and
baby talk.
Oh God, yeah, and he's like getting like, oh man, it's just shivers go up my spine.
I think the only thing that I can say why it maybe isn't more chill-inducing overall is because Duplass is so good. He's so disarming. Because you're like, well, this is Mark Duplass. He's like, he can't be the guy.
And if you don't have
that, he's the guy from the league. He's
a super duper nice guy. Yeah, he's safety not guaranteed. He's a wonderful guy in there. He's a little quirky, but
he's a quirky, funny guy.
He's a quirky everyman that you like.
Yeah. So we're safe with this guy. He's a weirdo, but he's also like told you he's awkward and weird, and this is why he had to hire somebody to do this, because he doesn't have anybody in his life who could do this besides his lovely wife, who he would never ask this of because she is struggling with all of this.
Yeah. It's a burden.
A horrible situation. He's going to die, everybody.
Yeah.
Come on.
You gotta have some sympathy and a dash of compassion. Because this man has a passion. That didn't rhyme that well. But it
rhymed well enough for
Yeah. Okay. And okay, so help me walk through the movie again. Like, and then after this, when does Aaron first get like that hint of something being wrong?
I think there's a lot of red flags early, but Aaron also
is
the nicest fucking guy. In fact, that's kind of one of the points it's not that he's dumb. This is the thing I want to get across.
No, because he is
a really good job of subverting the victim in a horror movie thing where everyone's like, well, what a dumbass. I would have done this. Yeah. I mean, but if
he keeps finding reason to go, and like legitimately good reason to go back.
I think it's the thing, it's kind of mentioned later on in the movie. It's like when you are a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
Like that is Super Spike, when that is your actual nature and you're that type of person, like you're the type of person, and I don't think there's a lot of them in life, to be honest. Who would just give you the shirt off their back, who don't even know you, but just see like you need help, who will just do whatever they have to do to help you.
He rations all this rationales all this off-putting behavior as this guy kind of having a cry for help and needing someone to help him out, and he wants to be there because this is, from this guy's perspective, a person that's just, he needs a hand, and he's there. He's there. I
think it's also pseudo alluded to, and not in the most clear fashion, but I think it's there that maybe Aaron is a guy who doesn't have anybody anymore either.
Yeah.
And he's kind of in a similar place.
Yeah, because he's just answered this ad not because of the heartstring part of it, but he's also hard up for some cash, and
maybe the only person they even mention that he kind of has in his life is an ex.
Yeah.
Who they don't really go into it, but it's like that. You know, it seems like maybe it didn't end very well, and he's trying to get his feet back underneath him, and it's not going as smoothly as he would have hoped.
Yeah. Yeah. He seems like someone, you know, and it's just kind of the subtlety of how everything, like the car he drives, how he is, and everything, his looks and stuff. Not to say that he looks too shabby, but like he looks like a guy that, yeah, is in the midst of kind of trying to mount a comeback in some way for himself to get back on his feet. Yeah.
So I can't remember the exact moment, but I will say that early on there's definitely some flags. There's a moment where
the mask, Peach Fuzz.
Yeah, when Peach Fuzz gets popped out the first time, and he's like, "What the fuck?" But you know, Duplass's character, whose name escapes me for whatever reason, maybe it's because he changes names a few times.
He does a lot. Because there's the phone call later that he's got a very different name on there, and yeah.
There is the moment about at the diner when he's like, "Oh, I thought you said you've been here a bunch of times." "Oh, I have." But you know, pancakes, their menu must have changed.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Aaron asked a few questions, and something that's brought up in the second movie, you know, is, "Will I leave hints?" No one walks into this blind.
One of the funniest lines, and he's like, I mentioned it's going to be an interview in the vampire situation.
Yeah.
Like,
I leave hints. It's not like, I like to think people don't walk into this completely blind.
Yeah, I mentioned interview with the vampire, so you know, that's fair warning.
There's just little. So you know, getting back to Creep 1.
Yeah.
Then we get into the fact that there's some moments where Aaron asks about things in the house, and he gives him kind of an evasive answer.
Yeah.
You don't catch it, you know, first watch. Sometimes I didn't. This is like the fourth or fifth time I've watched it, and even now, some of it I was.
Yeah, he's very nebulous about the belongings of this house.
He's always moving to the next thing. He's kind of a ball of chaotic energy.
Boom. Yeah.
It also kind of makes you comfortable in a way, because you're like, it just feels like, hey, here's a guy who has like ADHD. And it also is like off-putting, but you never have a chance to feel off-put by it. And also once he starts going and Aaron starts to sort of make some excuses for him, you also start to go, oh, you know, unreliable narrator, what's going on with this guy? And that in itself, I think it's done in such a way that it throws you off to not realize what actually is happening. Especially the first time you watch it, you're just like, where is this taking us? Where is this going? It's just a very disarming movie. And I love it for that. I absolutely adore it, because I will say now, if you haven't watched it and you're on the fence about it, watch it. Watch the first one, because it is a consistent and constant subversion of your expectations. That is about 90 minutes long, and it hits you in a way you don't realize. There's nothing like it. I can't think of a single movie that has any of this exact same shared DNA of this movie. It goes in such a wildly different direction and tone and everything else that
and it really like it completely like tees up like all these tropes that you're like, this is what I'm gonna expect out of this, and then like it just fizzles, but like not in a disappointing way. You're kind of like, what? And like how he's always trying to jump scare Aaron, but it's like the lamest attempts ever. But you see there's this unhinged thing underneath, but then also he's got there's wonderful smile.
Yeah, that I think the thing that makes it much like Behind the Mask is that that character, Leslie Vernon and whatever Duplass calls himself in each movie, is so fucking likable. They're just so disarmingly likable.
Yeah.
That there's a little bit of oh man, I was just fucking around and I took it too far and I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and it feels super heartfelt. Like you, the viewer, are like, oh, okay, yeah, man, I get it.
Because even though, hey, no, Robinson, thank you for asking. Things are all right. Yeah, there's even when things are like very awkward, Duplass is just so disarming.
Mm-hmm.
You feel oddly comfortable with
because there's a flash of menace, but then the wave of comfort that comes after, and how it you just gets and I think also the energy of the film, you get swept into the next thing and you accept the excuse, and you almost kind of as the viewer go on the ride with Aaron for what he it's wonderful movie.
It's a very first person-esque movie in that regards, because it's also found footage too.
It is. But
I think it's maybe one of the better found footage movies in that respect. It's a movie that makes you the main character whether you want to be or not.
Yeah. And oh man.
Also, Aaron's kind of a cipher in a lot of ways because we don't know a lot about him.
True. And it's much easier for us to insert ourselves into that position and identify with them. Like, because it's a powerhouse performance. I know that's such a hyperbole, like the throw out there, but like it is like it's almost a one-man show in a way, but it's not. But man, it's just so good. And then
on top of this, this movie, you could make it into a play, I think, with very little law, because it's not a.
You could do this in a black box theater, no problem.
Yeah, it's very much like a limited location movie to some degree, and that isn't a negative; it's in its favor.
Yeah,
and man, they make the most of it. Like,
yeah. Do we want to talk about the ending?
So I one thing we get to just kind of get back on the pace of where we were with it is there is a phone call.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
Someone asking for a name of someone who's not there, and once it kind of relays to them like that Aaron's there for this thing, and the person very
get out now,
but kind of moves around the why.
Yep.
Never states why, never states exactly what's going on, but it's like, you need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
My brother is mentally ill.
Yes.
And has a history of breakdowns. Basically, you need to go now. Don't wait around. Don't get your shit. Just go. And you're like, what? What is going on? And the thing I'm so amazed by with that is when Aaron confronts. We just call him Mark Duplass, I guess.
Yeah, just call him Mark. Or Creep.
Yeah, when Aaron confronts Mark goes full blown into like apologizing. It's like he anti-gaslights.
Yeah,
he overloads people, these people who question him with apologies. And and like,
it's almost like there's a thing.
It's me. I'm bad with people, and I desperately want to connect with people. So sometimes I do stuff, and it's because I don't know how to interact with people, and I'm so sorry. Please don't leave. I fucked up. I really like you as a person. Please don't leave me alone. I'm
it's
scared.
It's close to there's a thing with bipolar disorder, and I can't remember what the first part of it is, but the type of speech where you just kind of make a wall of words and just throw them at the person to kind of just overload them in a way, if whether it's defensive or antagonistic. I
always think about it as like folks who have borderline personality disorder do something similar to this.
Yeah.
Where they just, it's feast and famine emotionally, and when things are going wrong, no matter what you could do, you could be helping them by telling them the sky is blue, and they will be like, nope, the sky's red, fuck off, until they realize it's blue, and then they're like, oh God, what have I done?
Mm-hmm.
The overreaction of apology is as wild swinging as the overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's done very naturalistically. As far as like,
there's no grandstanding or anything. It's not like you're watching Kevin Spacey and it's like acting.
This is like genuine.
It feels so real.
Yeah, and he feels genuinely fucking awkward.
So
it works extremely well in that respect.
Yeah.
So eventually, it feels, he claims Mark tried to drug him because Mark can't find his keys and he wants out of there. And,
Aaron can't find his keys.
Aaron can't find his fleet. Mark Duplass just kind of like keeps finding excuses. And then they're having scotch together, and it just keeps getting more kind of uncomfortable. Something this movie does really well is it just constantly just feels uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's one of its best qualities, as in that kind of it's a mumblecore horror, but what it does maybe better than any of that is it just is disconcerting at times. So
you just have to sit in it.
Yeah, you do and that's a thing. Yeah, you just have to sit in it. Oh, that's the best way to put it. You just have to sit in it. In that tub with that guy wanting to make time with his yet to be born child.
Doesn't he give him like a little thing like that? It's just like, what the fuck am I watching? But like, I'm also like, I'm glad I'm watching this. Like, it's so good.
So eventually Aaron just they kind of get into a tussle, and Aaron ends up getting out and gets home, finds his keys and gets home. I think if I remember right, he takes them out of Mark's pocket while he's out.
Yeah. And then he's home for a while, and then he
starts getting the packages.
Yeah.
And these packages, he's like, and he's still recording this, and I'm not. That's maybe my only issue with this movie is trying to justify why he's still recording. Because
if we tie it into the end, there's a way that you could think of him kind of collecting evidence, possibly.
And that's the only way I can think to justify what he's doing, is that he's collecting evidence because the police are basically like, yeah, buddy, we got real police work to do. So Mark does reach out to the police, and he's like, hey, I did this job for this guy, and it was weird, and now he's mailing me stuff. He knows where I live, and I am fucking uncomfortable with this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you look into it? And they're just kind of like, come on, buddy. You don't know his name. You're giving us nothing. So we got other stuff we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And not, it's unfortunately realistic.
No, true. Yeah. No, and you really can't blame the police in this, because he has nothing for them, literally nothing for them, unless he like legit takes them out there, which maybe, you know what, actually you can blame them. They could have gotten off their asses and gone out there.
Yeah, they definitely could have, and I do think you can blame the police in this. I think it's just a matter of like, they're like, this feels like a domestic issue, so fuck it, we're not going to touch it.
Yeah.
And that is unconscionable, but it goes on far too often. Anyway, and
is next shot the most beautiful shot in the film?
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh God.
No, we're not quite there yet. So he sends him a couple things, and he apologizes, and he really wants to try to kind of bury the hatchet, so to speak. But before that, we get someone else's viewpoint. And that is Mark Duplass sneaking into Aaron's house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cutting off a lock of his hair. And at that point, you're like, I don't think Aaron knows how fucking deranged this guy is.
Mm-mm.
And
no clue.
Mark sends another video and basically like, I want to apologize. I want to fix this. I am absolutely loathing myself for this occurring, and I really, I want your friendship. But I'm a fucking mess.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to meet me here, and it's a very public place, at a very public time, and I can hopefully explain myself just a little bit, and we can get past this. I'm really, because he tells him, he says it, I don't have anyone. Like, I have no one. And like, I felt like we were making a connection as a couple people. And I need that. Like, I'm kind of afraid what will happen if I don't have that.
Yeah.
And we cut back, and Aaron is just struggling with this. He's like, I'm afraid, if I don't do this, this guy will fucking like kill himself or something, and then I will have to live with that. Now, this will be on my head because I could have done something and I didn't. And I don't know if I can live with that. And that in itself is, I think, the moment for me where it's like, this is where the I think some of the moral portion of the story like is perfectly stated out.
Yeah.
As we'll get to here momentarily. So Aaron shows up.
And it's beautiful.
It's an actually picturesque place.
It's a beautiful park. There's a bench facing this lake that's got the sun glittering on the waters. It's just a bright, shiny day. It's gorgeous. And Aaron goes and sits on the bench. He sets up his camera to film him.
Yes.
And he goes and sits on the bench.
That's what makes me feel safe, and it also like it's me also in a way getting more evidence.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid I might need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he goes to sit down, and time is passing by. And then coming into shot is Mark Duplass wearing the biggest trench coat he could have found. And he walks maybe within 50, not maybe like 20 yards of Aaron.
Behind him.
And but then he puts on the peach fuzz mask.
Yep.
And
if you know what you're looking for, you'll actually see the axe by his side, because that's another thing that pops up earlier. He says, I have an axe. There's so many, like, once you watch the movie once, you're like, so many statements that are made where you're like, this guy was just toying with this other guy the entire fucking movie.
Yes and no, though, because like the way he views him, like later when he's talking about him,
we'll get to that. I want to talk about him. I have some thoughts and feelings, especially after the second movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, he
a cartoon walks up behind him.
Yeah,
like
it is very Looney Tunes. in like the most disturbing way possible.
And then just whips out.
It takes so long that a part of you is like, this is all going to be another elaborate bullshit.
Yeah.
He's just
until it is not.
Until it is not.
And he just takes like the biggest like chop right down on Aaron's head, and then just for good measure gives him a few more. And then runs over to the camera, right? If I remember right?
Yeah, because he's got to check it.
Yep. God damn. And he's so gleeful.
Yeah.
He's so happy.
That's why I don't think it's the fact that he had the feeling he was.
But
I think
okay.
he has that feeling to maximum level that guy can feel.
Yeah.
So.
And then I think he tries for one more jump scare on the camera. And then we pull back and we see he's in an editing bay.
Yeah.
And he's got a good little library full of tapes with different names on them. And he's talking to the camera because he's just made Aaron's tape. And like,
you were too good for this world. You were just, you were.
And like, I knew you were a true friend because you kept trying to help me. And it was just
all the shit I did to you. And yet you still
kept coming back.
You still kept coming back. This is why you'll always be my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. And that lovely locket. Oh yeah. And then
that's the end.
No, because he tries one more jump scare.
Oh yeah.
And then we cut to the end. And then Creep 2, and oh boy, this was my favorite of the two, I think. But I have some, like, do I love it because I've been informed so much by Creep 1? So
let's set the table. Creep 2 is, you see Mark Duplass now calling himself Aaron.
Yep. And he's
with a guy who's his friend
who just got this box, and he opens this box, and it's from the camera's POV.
He just keeps getting these weird tapes in the mail.
Yep. And
they talk about what good friends they are, and
doesn't he just drop by out of the blue? Yep.
And then eventually he says,
they're sitting down right next to each other at a table.
They're having a beer.
Yep. They're good friends.
Isn't it really weird that you started getting these tapes like right around the time we became friends? And there's also the thing where he's like, I think we should take our friendship to the next level.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't understand what you mean by that. And he's like, I don't feel like it's coincidence that we met. Looking at the same book at the same bookstore and all this stuff. I feel like this is meant to be. And I can never tell if he's implying like a romantic relationship at that point.
It's possible.
It's so hard to tell because as we see in this movie, Mark Duplass plays that role so like asexually.
He even explains at one point that he's never had what?
At the same time, he is.
Oh, you think he's bullshitting?
He is the most unreliable narrator.
Yeah, but there's some stuff he delves into with her that has to be truth because it lines up with that phone call from the first one.
Yeah,
where he's talking about he had real big psychiatric issues and his family don't trust him.
So anyway, he's back. He just fucking kills this guy.
Slits the dude's throat.
Yeah, and you can tell he's upset about it. Like,
it's not
satisfying.
Our poor Aaron, because Mark's now Aaron, he's in the midst of a midlife crisis, and it's hitting him hard.
Yeah,
he just has no joy anymore.
There's no joy. This is like killing this guy brought him no satisfaction at all, and in fact, it just made him angry.
Yep.
Like, and not angry at the victim, the person he was pretending to be friends with, who he just slaughtered in his own fucking apartment. Angry at the fact like this brought him nothing. It is a hollow feeling.
Because this was what he was put on the world to do.
Yep.
And now, as he states that. It's
really interesting in the fact that I think a lot of people, us included, go through this. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's so relatable. It's incredibly relatable, but it's so darkly comedic and it takes on such I I don't know, an uneasy, but also I'm delighted by it, like tone that this. He's so bummed out because, like, yeah, man, like his hobby's not bringing him joy. Like, you know, it's like, oh man, like D&D's not doing it for me, or oh man, like my video games aren't just bringing it to me, or oh man, I'm just not into wrestling, or oh man, you know, when I slaughtered that dude and cut his throat and stabbed him a bunch of times after stalking him for so long, I got nothing out of it.
Well, also it was like there was a feel, in my opinion, there was a feeling of like rejection there, where he wanted, you know, I think what he had with
Aaron. Yeah.
And
yes,
it
definitely.
Wasn't there, and even though this guy was like an awesome friend to him, and yet it wasn't the same thing, and he's just like, this is just hollow.
Yeah.
So then we meet the other character in this movie.
And she's a badass. I love this. This character is great.
I think this character might now be one of my favorite, you know, I'll use the cliche term of Final
Girl. Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, amazing.
She's so on point, on the ball, goes into it prepared, like she's got a knife and stuff like that. She's doing
a YouTube show. She has a YouTube show where she like goes out to meet like odd people and kind of just like be with them and kind of, you know, give everybody a glimpse into their world.
Yeah.
It's kind of done without like a pretentiousness.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
she's really just,
it's also,
it is all for her.
Yeah. It's all sort of like a sociological experiment that definitely she enjoys a little bit more than she probably should.
Yeah.
It is a little bit like wallowing in other people's misery.
Yeah. There does seem to be, and it's not malicious, but there's some kind of exploitive element to it a little bit on her behalf.
So she takes him up on his new posted offer.
And she's getting like Spoopy Boys level of views. So she needs something new to charge her life up. Come on, share our videos, guys.
Like, share, and subscribe, I guess.
Hit that bell. Hit that bell.
She even makes a joke about that.
I think so. Yeah.
Which I also think is fucking wonderful.
Yes.
So she goes, and this is where the subversion of expectations just slaps you in the face right off the bat. He straight up tells her, I'm a serial killer.
Full on.
Like 30, 40, between, I can't remember if he said 45 people.
At that point, the numbers bounced up. It was 39 in the first movie, and now it's,
And he tries desperately to scare her.
And she's not having it.
She's just like not impressed.
No.
He's so calm and cool and collected, because she also like takes a moment where she goes and like talks to her camera without him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, this is every fucking red flag.
And I'm going to do it.
Possible, but I'm going to do this because this is also completely fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'll ever meet someone who is this deep in their own shit, because she doesn't believe him.
No. Oh yeah. No.
He's deluded.
Yeah.
And she tells him, like, when he's like, so you don't believe me? And she's like, no, I think that you're, you know, deluded, maybe mentally ill. You're very lonely. So yeah. And I don't like seeing people in that condition.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can never tell if that ends up being the truth or a lie, because we'll kind of talk about later on. So anyway, she just spends time with them, and the thing is that's exceptional here, that they do a really good job of in this movie, is she is wildly inquisitive. She has an interviewer's tenor and tone, and one thing that you in the first movie is Mark Duplass has all the control.
All the control. And all of her,
her on the back foot from moment one. And every time he tries to do that with her, she just goes, that's funny.
All of his tactics are completely impotent with her.
And you can see his wheels turning like,
he's like,
I'm confused by this, but I also I kind of like
very intrigued. Yeah. Very he's vibing on her.
He tells her right off the bat, like, oh, I'm not going to kill you tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you.
I promise you I won't kill you for 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours. That's what it was. which is also something she brings up later, where she's like, well,
Yep.
you said you wouldn't kill me for 24 hours. And he was like, well, you're thinking of things that'll get you in trouble.
Yep. Oh my God. Oh.
And she just laughs it off because she's like, it's if you've ever spent time around someone with like schizophrenia, who they tell you, like in some cases they're like, don't break their delusion because that can be more unhealthy than what they're going through and have them spiral. It's like she's kind of playing into that a little bit where she's like, well, I'm not going to, but it's more like if I break this, then show's over, story's over.
Yeah. And it's a juicy story she's got right in front of her.
Yeah. And there's a moment where she thinks about leaving because, Mark Duplass is Mark Duplass in it. And she goes back and she's like, I feel like I can pull him back into this conversation. It's when they go to do this shooting where this like shot his big like because he gives
his jacuzzi.
Yeah, no, it's the it is the jacuzzi, but after they went to go do the shot at the waterfall where he took Aaron.
Oh yeah! Oh God, the creek's dried up, and it was going to be so cinematic and all. I was going to be standing in the water, and it was going to be a resurrection metaphor.
Yeah, he talks about how like he was reading a thing about Francis Ford Coppola, and how Coppola was like,
"Yeah,
I don't make anything original anymore, and I'll never be able to get that feeling back," and all this. And he's like, "That's what I'm going through." So he has this meltdown. He's
in his Coppola phase. Yeah,
and she says to him like, Coppola, and he's like,
yeah,
Coppola, and he's like, and she's like, what would Coppola do? And he goes, oh yeah. He says it later on in the movie, you're my muse.
Yep.
He records it in her thing when she's in the bathroom. He said, I just want to tell you, I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm feeling a lot of things right now.
And then he creeps up behind her, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yep.
Dishes. He's like, "Do you ever like to sneak in, or when you ever walk in the woods, do you ever sneak up behind a deer?" And so it's just like,
see, that's the thing too, is we go through an entire portion of this movie where it's her scaring the shit out of him.
Yes. Oh God.
Not like it.
That comes after this, and she all of a sudden like, is it? Yeah, they start doing all the scares with each other.
I kept waiting for them to go into the cliche of like, well, she's a killer too.
Yeah. Oh God.
Are they gonna do that? Please don't do that.
A hacky person would have done that, but
they don't. They do not. It's just she is so like convinced she has a handle on this situation that she is not scared.
And it's not until like
it's not until the shit hits the fan at the very end of the movie where she
end.
Oh, I have drastically fucking underestimated
this whole situation. Yeah.
I have fucked up. So anyway, they do all this fun stuff together. There's a moment where he's like playing the same 80s jam band song over and over again, and he's kind of having like the full-blown like midlife crisis meltdown.
Yeah.
And she shows him great compassion. She gets into the tub with him, and they like, and again, it's hard to tell whether this is sexual at all because
there's a hint of that, but I think there's more of like human connection and comfort being given to this guy.
He gets very grunty. But I think some of that is because like he is fucking crazy.
I think that's Peach Fuzz getting his growl back.
Yeah, Peach Fuzz getting his groove back on. So they're in the tub. She like gives this very like rough massage kind of thing, and then she's like, "All right, I'm gonna go take a shower." And he then is like has this realization of like, because one thing I realized, I don't think he killed any women.
Oh, I bet he lured all these guys. It's looking like,
especially since he tells that story about like his origin story, which I kind of do believe.
I do believe that too, 100%. I think she has disarmed him enough that he's willing to give
Yeah,
like a little bit of truth.
Oh yeah, well, he's like, oh, my rules are, I think it's also a great.
He's broken all his rules with her, yeah, and it feels good.
Well, and again, he's such an unreliable narrator, and he does so much with her. He does so much. I feel like it's gaslighting, but I'm not sure it really is. He's such a complicated man, and no one understands him.
Yeah.
Not even a woman.
So is this about the time that he's like, I've got it, what we can do for your video?
Yes.
My suicide.
Yeah.
And
no, first it's you're going.
Oh, it's no, you got to murder me, and I'm gonna put. I put on the peach fuzz mask.
Yep.
And I'm gonna lay on this table, and you're gonna cut my head off with my axe.
Yes,
and she's like,
be dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many metaphors in it. You're going.
He looks at the camera and he's like, "I give full consent to this."
It's gonna be awesome. And then she can't do it.
Oh god, it's so funny though, because she's like, "Any last words?" I think he goes, "Oh woo!"
He is fucking pumped about this.
Yeah.
She can't do it, and I think it's one of those moments where she's like, "I'm now starting to." Has kind of maybe a momentary realization of like, "Am I in over my head?"
Yeah, she's starting to get creeped out for the first kind of moments here. Then he's like, "Okay, no, you know what? That was wrong. Let's flip it. You're gonna film me going out. I'm gonna hang myself from this thing, and you'll film it."
Yep.
And
she again, I think, thinks, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're not going to do this, whatever. You're playing this kind of sick little game here, but it's also, he jumps and she goes immediately to grab him, and he's just going, and she can't lift him up, and the rope breaks. And
then she loses her shit.
Yeah. Then she's ready to leave.
So fucking mad at him.
And is this when we get the apology and the reveal of like?
Yeah,
what
he apologizes, and he basically explains. He tells her the story.
Like, but also okay, do the story, and then
he tells her a story that when he was young, he was so big he could pass for older. I think he was like 15 or something like that, but he looked like almost 18. He was just a big husky kid. And he went to a concert, and he ended up becoming chummy with the band, and then he like ran away with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was and they had this song,
the jam band.
It was the jam band. That's why it's his favorite song ever. And they had this song, and that's why he was playing it early, because it's the only song that makes him feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But he went with them, and things were just awesome until they weren't. And then they were basically like, you got to go. So he had to go. And as he was trying to get home, he got picked up by a man who said he was going to give him a ride. And he said, the thing I remember about the man, which also makes it very much like, is he lying? Because he says this to Aaron in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have so much fun together.
Yep.
Which makes it like, did he say that because of this? It's so hard to tell with this guy. That's what makes it awesome. So this guy tortures him, not a whole lot, but enough. Digs a hole, and he's going to bury him alive.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Wait, what?" He was like, "Yeah, this guy was going to bury me alive." He was a killer. He was an older guy. Like, but the thing that he didn't realize, he's like, I couldn't help but like admire this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is he doing this? What's the deal? He's like, but part of me was like, the meticulous nature, the planning, the glee he seemed to get from all of this. Like I was dumbstruck by this. Mm-hmm. Most people would be very scared, and I was just like, this is whoa.
Yeah.
He said
thrilling almost. Yeah.
I think he even compares him. He was like a god.
Mm-hmm.
He held my life in his hands. I think he even I think he might even said that to him, like, I hold your life in my hands, and I'm here shortly. I'm going to just snuff it out. Mm-hmm. He's like, the one thing he was not very good at was making sure my hands were tied well. Then he basically says, I killed him. And I took his clothes and I laid in the grave where he was with his body, and I just like felt the universe.
Yeah.
And this is where I realized, like, this is what I was made to do. This is who I'm supposed to be. And again, I think at that point she still thinks he is just mentally ill.
Is this the part where he shows her that when he jumped, that he had a support cable the entire time as well?
Yeah.
That's so insidious.
And I think that's the thing that disarms her from recognizing.
But yeah, it's such a, like, that's such,
that
to admit to that to another person, that's all cards on the table. Like, how could you not then be like, shit, okay. He's hurt. He's a hurt person.
But he's also, and he says, I'm so fucked up that, like, I like you a lot, but I don't know how to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Was that when they had the kiss too, where he's like, I've never even kissed a... Oh, they played two.
Yeah.
He's made two lies,
two truths, 2 lies and a truth. Yeah.
And
his,
he's because she says something. He's like, I can hold my breath for like 3 minutes,
2 minutes, and all this other stuff. And she's like,
I've never even kissed a girl.
Oh no, I've never had sex.
I've never had sex. That's right.
And
he's like, yeah, I was in and out of mental institutions and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It just never happened because I was messed. I was a mess. And
he offers that up as the truth.
Yeah.
To her.
And she kisses him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very awkward, very sweet.
It is. And
very disarming.
It's cute.
It's very cute. And he's like, and she's like, how was that? And he's like, it was awesome.
You forget they do such a phenomenal job. You forget what's going on. Even after seeing the first one, you're like, oh man, all right. He's got his kiss.
But I think that's the genius of this movie, and the fact that he's such an unreliable narrator. And I think, if they're still going to go forward with some of this stuff, which we'll talk about here when we're done, is I think you can go on and on and on and on with this.
Yeah.
Because we don't know who he is.
No.
At all, because everything he says all the time could just be bullshit.
It could be bullshit. Even things that seem to tie together, you really don't know. Like, it could all be shit. Like, it's so wild.
I think one of the reasons why for me it's such a standout movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So he leaves. Is this when they go out to the woods?
Yeah, he says, I want to show you something. And they go out into the woods. And
there's a grave.
There's a grave dug, especially after he just told her that story.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, when did you do this? He was like, oh, I did it like
before you came here. But like, I changed my mind about you. And he's got a plan that they're going to do a little Romeo and Juliet kind of action and go out together. And to prove how committed he is,
he stabs himself a whole bunch of times. Yeah.
And at first you're just hearing metal going into flesh, and you see the oh shit, because he's filming her while he's doing this. He's looking straight on at her.
His like intonation and everything just starts to get weird. And you're like, this guy's stabbing himself. Like, this is holy fuck. He is completely gone down a different road than I anticipated.
And then like the camera goes down, he looks at what he's doing, and he is legit, like, he's stabbed himself a ton. He's making mincemeat of himself. And then
he hands her the knife.
Yeah,
he's like,
she's not into it.
No, she is definitively not into it. And she starts to freak out, and he's kind of like, well, I'll do it for you. And she's like, he stabs her, doesn't he? Like a couple times.
She runs.
She runs, and he stabs her a bunch of times, and he drags her over where the hole is. And he's like, And
is this when he again does his monologue toward camera?
Yes. And you watch in the background
an inversion of Creep.
Yeah,
the first one.
And picks up the shovel. And as he's talking and he's giving his pseudo-intellectual reasoning, she fucking unloads on him. And then we cut.
And the fun part about that is in his little thing, he's also talking about, you know what? I realize I don't want to die.
Yeah, like I feel like I have some good work I can do in the future.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like refreshed and renewed. Like she brought like the best out of me, and it would be a shame if I waste that.
Yeah. And she just smacks him, and just blood goes flying at the camera, and then we get the hard cut, and then the video comes back up.
And we're in a cityscape, and you can kind of tell we're following someone.
Mm-hmm.
This goes for a little bit. And then we get on
a subway or a train of some sort.
I think we got public transit sometime.
Yeah.
And earlier in the movie,
it's the Peach Fuzz song. He starts whistling it.
He whistled it. He didn't sing it in the second movie. He just
whistles.
And you hear it, and you realize we're following her.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like
she's looking around.
Hear the whistle.
And a smile comes on her face.
Smiles, and then like it keeps going.
And then she
like it's a look on her face, and she turns. She looks right at the camera, and then the camera cuts.
Yep. Oh, credits roll. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
Yes.
And so yeah, I gotta say I like the second one a little more, but I think they're so lovable, both of them. They're so good.
So I love the first movie because it is just so unexpected, and it hits you in so many ways. Mm-hmm. But I concur. I think the second movie ratchets that shit up to a level you're unprepared for.
Yeah, it doesn't suffer from any sequel bullshit. It's so good. Oh man, like it's
everything that works, and it like builds off of it, and you get again.
And the premise feels fresh.
Yeah, the thing that amazes me about this movie, about its sequel, is you want to believe what he's saying about the thing about things.
Yeah,
you just can't.
You can't.
And because he's so damn likable, it makes it so disconcerting.
Yeah.
Because you, in a lot of ways, like for someone like me, I feel like I'm being toyed with, and
very much.
That's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's. I had forgotten how much I absolutely love these movies.
They're phenomenal. Like
I'm so happy you were like,
so
we need to rewatch these.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so excited because.
And yeah, you have news.
Yeah, a Creep 3 is officially coming on the way, and it was just on June 25th they announced they're going to be doing a Creep TV series where each episode is a standalone victim in his whole career.
Is Duplass?
He's behind both of them, and the guy, his co-writer director. Yeah.
Did they say why it took them so long to do anything? Did just trying to get money it wasn't happening as fast as they wanted?
I'm not sure. I really don't know, but
other projects?
I know Creep 3 I feel like has been in gestation for a little bit. Like they kind of inked that deal a while ago, and then
so this movie, the first one was Blumhouse's like secondary.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. Like, I remember that
when Blumhouse was good. Yeah.
Well, it was Blumhouse's like secondary imprint. It was like their second tier of movie.
Oh, wasn't it like Blumhouse Street or something? I can't. Or Blumhouse Press. I don't know.
But it made enough money and enough noise that the second movie was done by Blumhouse proper.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah, and I think that was around 2014 that Creep 2 came out. Yeah, so it's been a bit.
I'm not a Blumhouse guy. I don't usually enjoy what Jason Blum puts out. I don't.
There's a few gems though. Like I love The Invisible Man. I thought that was dope.
Yeah. I mean, The Invisible Man, I think, doesn't even feel like a Blumhouse movie. So,
no, it doesn't. That feels like an A24 movie.
It does. That's exactly what I was going to say. It feels like an A24 movie.
It's so arty, and it takes its time, and it's so measured. And then the rest of Blumhouse is like Dancing Robot Girls, and
I do think Blumhouse had an opportunity to be A24 before A24 became A24.
Oh, they totally did.
They shit the
like,
bed on that.
Yeah. Like Raimi had to deal with them and everything, and then they never really did anything with that. They just produced a bunch of shit movies. I don't know if Drag Me to Hell is them. I don't think it is. But if it is, that's one other feather they can put in their cap. But no, man, I don't know. I'm not.
I cannot give this movie a high enough recommendation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're so good and they're so different and they're not what you expect.
Please seek them out. Like, they're both available on Netflix right now.
They're both short.
They're short, and if you have the time, you could watch them back to back in an evening. And
that's what I did. I watched them back to back this morning.
Yep, yeah, same here. And it's a flawless experience. It just jumps right into the next one. Yeah, and it's worthwhile.
It feels like there's no break.
Yeah, you won't go wrong. I'm gonna try to seek these out on disc. They're that good, I think. Although I've got a lot of trash on disc too, but don't hold that against me. Killer Clowns is the greatest thing ever.
I will say, like, when we're talking about where we put them on, like, where do you feel like this lands?
I wouldn't show this to a beginner. Even though it's not like overly scary or anything like that, I think this is something that you need to maybe have just a little bit under your belt, just so you can like really, really, truly appreciate what they're doing and how they are accomplishing this wonderful sense of unease and mounting kind of dread without going into any of the normal tropes at all. They just totally bypass them, and it's outstanding. So I think this would, I don't know, I'd say it's like a level 2 kind of like, intermediate kind of thing. I'd say, like, get a few things under your belt, but definitely go watch this.
Yeah, I think this movie, I wouldn't put it as a beginner's flick just because it's disconcerting enough in the way that it plays with all your expectations and how disarming Mark Duplass is in it on a consistent basis, that some people are going to feel real aggravated by that.
Oh yeah.
It's bug the shit out of you. Some people are going to be I could see being very frustrated by that.
Yeah. One of my wife's friends, we recommended her to watch it, and she was like, what the fuck? That was, she was like, that was the creepiest thing. It was so unnerving. I was like, there's a second one. She's like, I'm going to need some time. So, like, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, honestly, if you're new to the horror game, or you want someone to see this that's new to the horror game, build their acumen up a little bit. Like, show them a few.
Or at least it's a movie I think you could show them if you're like, hey, we're going to watch this together. Or even like if you're new to it, I would say if you're watching this, we've told you kind of what to expect. I feel like then
we told you it's like Interview with a Vampire.
It's like Interview with a Vampire.
They know what they're getting into.
They know what they're getting into. That's one of my favorite things. So he says that I give them information. I let them know. Like,
yeah, and
I like to feel like they come to me.
And with his flawed reasoning, it kind of holds if you look at it from his really twisted perspective. Like, yeah, I mean, the whole time. I mean, like, yeah, but you stayed, you came back, because you're just that good of a person. You wanted to do this for me, and I know that's why this happened.
And this is why I know we got brought together. It's because you're such a good person.
You're such a good friend. You're the best friend I've ever had.
You're the best friend I've ever had. God damn it, you beat me to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So honestly, watch these. They're fantastic. I could not recommend them any higher. I don't want to say masterpiece just yet. I want to let them simmer a little bit, but they could be. They're
just excellent. I feel that way. Colin, what are we doing next? Do you know yet?
Well, we're in the dead of summer. The heat is arising. I'm thinking deserts. I'm thinking Kevin Bacon. I'm thinking Tremors, baby.
Oh, okay. I was thinking when you were talking about that, I was like, are we going to watch some Mummy movies? I was like, fuck yeah.
Oh, I would watch. Ooh. How about we do? Let me get Tremors out of my system, then we'll do Mummies next.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
Colin, where can people find you?
Okay, if you're a gamer, you can find me at Creepin Colin on Xbox and Steam, all that stuff. Yeah. Sundays, prep school. I should be there at prep school. When it comes up in the month, I'm on Scum and Villainy. Try not to make my penis explode. Watch the show if you want to know what that's about.
I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong? I just want to love my baby mama.
And you'll find me this coming Tuesday. We're doing Meng on Meng. And I'll be just rocking more Star Wars Lego probably. So yeah, or maybe some Monkey Kid. I've got a Monkey Kid box I've been sitting on for almost a year, and I got
that's what Chima used to be, right?
I think so. Yeah, they because a lot of Chima pieces are in there, and it's the one way that I can cheaply get Chima pieces. Those bastards. Chima Lego.
I will be here Sunday. I don't know what my life is doing. I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
Yeah.
I'll be here Sunday for prep school, and then Monday is Chaos Scar. I have to figure out what I'm doing for Chaos Scar. Because I don't want to do the ghost story as we talked about on Tuesday. I realized then I would be doing like 3 horror things in a row, and I'm trying not to. Yeah,
you've been talking about how you're peppering a little too much horror into your stuff, and you're keenly aware of it.
I love horror. I love you, but I also want to I'm able to do other things, and I shouldn't just go back to my nookie blankie constantly. Just because I'm like, oh, I love horror so much.
There's so much to mine from it.
There is, and I like twists on Gothic horror too much too. Anyway, and then Tuesday Meng, and then that's it next week for me. Until Sunday. That's gonna be a quiet week compared to this week.
A deserved quiet week.
A positively silent week. So maybe I might drop something if I have enough piss and vinegar to do something. I don't know. We'll see. I make no promises. I kind of want to do some Zomboid. I haven't played Zomboid in a while. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I make no promises.
I'll see if my parents' PC can handle that. I'll let you know. Maybe we could finally Zomboid together online.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, thank you, Colin, for saying these are the movies we're going to do.
Thank you for being a wonderful co-host with me. You're a prince and a scholar.
It was great.
And a gentleman.
I loved it very much.
I like it very much.
I like boot blocking very much. All right. I hope everyone has a survivable Friday, because God, I'm not looking forward to it. Bombasses to all, and we'll catch you on Sunday.
Bye everyone. Stay spoopy. Bye. Oh!